This is the DeafBlind Potter Show, and my name is Kelvin Crosby, and I am the DeafBlind Potter. And if you're here to live beyond your challenges, you're at the right spot. So let's go on this journey and live beyond our challenges. Hey, it's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm so excited that you are here at the DeafBlind Potter Show at KHNC 1360 on the AM dial. My name is Kelvin Crosby, also known as the DeafBlind Potter, and today's Monday, and today is the day of the launch of the DeafBlind Potter short film documentary, and I'm super excited. It launched at 3 o'clock this morning on the Pacific Standard Time. We couldn't launch out of London, and I haven't checked yet how we're doing yet, but I'm just like, whew, all right, things are ready, landing pages are ready, donation buttons are ready, email list of things is ready, everything's ready to go for this day, and I am super excited. It's like, yeah, like it's been 2 years in the works, we're here, and we're going all in. And whether I'm ready or not, it's just gonna be what it is, and not much I can do about it. And so I got the guy behind the scenes that put this video all together today for today's show at the DeafBlind Potter. And Josh, welcome to the DeafBlind Potter Show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here. It's a big day, right?
It is. It's like that big day. Today's the launch, and I'm like, whew. It's been a long 3 weeks because we found out last minute that this was going to happen. And we were like, ooh, how are we going to do this? And you and I were like, here it is. Whether we like it or not, we just got to get over it. And I'm like, all right, here we go. And so, Josh, I always mess up on your last name. So tell everybody what your last name is and your full name and kind of where, a little bit about where people can find the documentary at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Josh Herzog, and I was the director and cinematographer for this short documentary. And today, as Kelvin mentioned, we just launched on Nowness, which is a super exciting platform, which sort of showcases some of the best sort of art style films throughout the whole world. And we are today's main feature. So we are right on the front page. So if you're seeing this today, you just go to nowness.com. We'll be that first video. And it's going to be on there for at least the next year, and an exclusive premiere at least for the next 2 weeks. And then we'll start putting it on Kelvin's profile and all his websites and my website. But for now, go to nowness.com, and that'll be the main place to find it.
So as we are launching this video, and it's exciting to kind of go through that. So let's dive right into the story of what caused you to really kind of go back into your childhood a little bit. What caused you to really want to make this video?
Whoa, that's starting from childhood.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll bring it back to kind of what got me into film first, and then I can elaborate onto how you and I found each other and stuff. But really, I think from early on, my mom is an artist, and so we grew up with a lot of art and sort of just creative thinking, my brother and I. And I think because we were able to do that and have that passion growing up, when it was around middle school and sort of early high school, it was the peak of sort of YouTube tutorials and all that stuff coming up. And so me and one of my really close friends started watching just all these YouTube tutorials on visual effects and animation and filmmaking. And just got really into it. And we would rush home from school and we would just spend hours and hours and hours making little videos. And that sort of sparked everything. And then luckily in high school, my high school had a film program, and that sort of just further added to all the stuff I was watching on YouTube. And when it came time to figure out, college stuff, I didn't really know that filmmaking could be a career. But I was like, well, this is what I like to do the most out of anything. So I kind of was like, I guess this is chosen for me. So me and a bunch of other people in that program kind of all apply to film schools all over the country. And after going to film school, which I did in New York, I've kind of just been here since. So that's sort of my start into filmmaking. And
So I do have a quick question on that. What is it like being a film person in New York? Because you live in Brooklyn, and so you got to do all your filming all over the city, carrying film equipment, all that stuff. What is that like?
from a logistics perspective, is I guess it's brutal. I wish I had a car out here. I often think what it would be like to have a nice big garage to store all my stuff and a car to just drive it around, but that's not really how we roll around here. So it's a lot of Ubers and a lot of lugging stuff on the train, and it's definitely not ideal, but obviously New York has a lot of benefits that outweigh the difficulty. We'll leave it at that.
Well, what's interesting is you and I shot some film for my other company, Simi Kane, and in Brooklyn, and we were crossing some major dangerous streets, and it was one of those experiences like, oh, okay, here we are. You're looking around a tripod, two different type of lenses. You got your backpack, you got batteries, you got audio. It was crazy. And you have a blind guy crossing a dangerous street, and you're like, is this going to be safe or not? I mean, who knows?
I will say, just for the people listening at home, we did have other people making sure it was safe. It wasn't just Kelvin running through 8 lanes of traffic, I promise you. But yeah, definitely.
At point, I got away from the people, and it got a little hairy at some point.
Oh man, yeah, that was a harrowing evening. But we all made it. Everything was safe. It was all good.
So all right, so you became a. So what kind of, like, what is your title now? Like, what do people normally hire you for?
Yeah, so I would say primarily I'm a cinematographer. That's like 99% of what I do. Director of photography, cinematographer, all the same. And basically that's just me doing the camera work. So I would be in charge of working with the lighting team as well as the camera team, and working hand in hand with the director to bring their vision to life. And for me, I kind of work on a lot of different projects. I do a lot in like the fashion space, and kind of skincare, makeup, sort of in that world. And then a lot of commercials as well, some music videos. And then been trying to get more into kind of the documentary world. And I guess that's kind of leading into what we were going to chat about anyways, is sort of how you and I met and came together. And, I think it was the summer of 2021, I believe, is when I first reached out.
Yeah, I think it was the summer, because my video just hit 15 million views. But let's stay tuned. We'll get into the story how Josh and I met, and I'm excited to take you on this journey. So stay tuned, and I will see you on the other side. Hey, it's Kelvin here, and I want to tell you about my podcast, the Perseverance Podcast, where you as an individual can hear individuals persevere through their challenges that they have faced in their life. For example, the most famous Chippendale stripper and the #1 porn star in the world, literally transformed his life and now is rescuing people from this industry and helping them find purpose in their life. Also, Casey Marsh, where she had a baby born without a brain and how she went through that grieving process. And lastly, one that's really fascinating is about Spencer Renfro, where he died and came back to life after driving 140 miles an hour. But when he died, he didn't come back alive the same. So you gotta go check out the Perseverance Podcast at perseverancepodcast.com and hear these stories and how people persevered through their challenges. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges and go to perseverancepodcast.com. Hey, so good to see you, even though I can't see you. My name is Kelvin Crosby, also known as the DeafBlind Potter, and today I'm working on the pottery wheel again. I'm gonna make a pot today because we're gonna get ready for April, for spring, because also that month I'm gonna be working on with interviewing a lot of homesteaders and people that are in the gardening space and how you live beyond challenges in that space. And I'm gonna promote pottery and sell pots. Not the weed. Just being clear, we're not selling drugs here. We're selling pots where you don't put the weed in there. That's not good for you. But what we'll do is these pots are going to be available in April, and you can plant your plants in them and have holes and do all the healthy things for you. But today I got a special guest, and my film just came out, and the guy behind the scenes is here, Josh. And we're getting ready to talk about how Josh has how he learned about me and why he decided that he wanted to get into making my short film documentary. So, Josh, take it away.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think like we were saying, it was the summer of 2021, and it was I had just moved back to New York. I took a brief stint back with the family in California, so I moved back to New York and was kind of trying to figure out what next steps were. I hadn't really worked during COVID. People weren't really on set too much, and just trying to figure out what my next steps were. And I think part of that was I realized, if I want to get more into documentary work, it's really hard to get someone to give you that opportunity if you don't have any previous work to show for it, right? It's like, oh well, I can do that. Well, can you show us? So I think for me, I realized like, well, I think the best thing for me to do would be make my own project to show people that, hey, listen, I can do this, and you can bring me on to other projects. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, but wasn't necessarily actively looking. I think, again, just getting used to being back in the city and post-COVID and what that was like. And, I was just scrolling on TikTok one day and came across one of your videos. And I think obviously, like a lot of people, was just instantly drawn in by your energy and enthusiasm. And that was sort of what kept me on the video. And then when I was watching a little more, obviously hearing, all the depth that you bring to your story and sort of your way of looking at life and all these incredible things that you convey with such happiness and joy. And I was like, wow, this is like just a really cool, talented guy with a great story. I wonder if, he would ever be open to a documentary. And I think I like saved the video, didn't really think as much of it. I was like, oh, it's kind of, this random guy, like, I'm not gonna connect with this guy, whatever. And then I think, maybe like a month went by, and I think another one of your videos popped up, and I was like, all right, you know what? Let's just see. Like, got nothing to lose, right? So I also saw that you were in San Diego, which I was born and raised in Southern California, and my family's still there. So I was like, okay, like, if he is interested in this, like, I could stay with my family. And I was kind of already starting to think from like a producer standpoint of like the logistics of like, could this actually work? And I I was like, do I DM him? Like, I don't know. Like, but I think I went on your website and found your email and sent you an email, just kind of explaining myself. And again, my biggest thing, which you and I have talked about a lot, is like, I didn't want it to just be like me coming into your world and being like, hey, like, I really want to make a documentary, and kind of being it, having it be this very self-fulfilling purpose. Um, I wanted to, first to know, like, hey, like, is that something you're interested in? And two, like, if it is, how can this be helpful to your goals and aspirations as well? And so I think that's kind of the first email was a little bit like that. And I know your friend responded to the email that you were interested in chatting, and then I think we had our set up our first Zoom call after that, right?
Yep. Well, what's interesting, if you ever want to get a hold of me, email is the best way to get a hold of me because I control all those. And the other thing is Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. If you DM me there, it might be a few months before I even get to you. The accessibility of those.
Glad I picked email then.
Yeah, because the accessibility of social media is very inaccessible, and so for me, like, because our documentary launched today, like, I am dreading having to get on Instagram and TikTok, and then I gotta call Ira to remote into my phone, and then have them help me get things shared and linked, and it's like, because I can't do that by myself. I gotta have somebody else do that because it's not accessible to do with a screen reader. And so if you ever want to get a hold of me, email contact@deafblindponder.com, because that's the best way to get a hold of me. So yeah, so when you reached out to me, I was like, I had been getting a lot of weird spam because I hit 15 million views. We had Jackson's video go up. We had a bunch of things starting to really change in my life. Because this was when we had one video that hit 15 million. I had just been on Good Morning America. I think I just got picked up by CBS at that point. I'm trying to remember. And so things were starting like, ooh, not sure how this is going to go for me. And so I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's see how this goes. Well, I'll keep my guards up, and we'll have a conversation. And then literally, you popped into the computer, and I talked to you. You talked to me. We're like, we jived really well, and I was like, I think this could work. And now I remember Natalie. She was like, I think this guy's legit. Like, because that's a whole nother thing, right? Is figuring out if they're legit.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I saw his Instagram. It was like really good videos and really good shots. And I'm like, and then I was watching today the actual finished version, and I'm like, he has all these close-ups, and I blew it up really big so I can kind of make out what I look like. Because I mean, honestly, me being blind, I have a little vision, just enough to be dangerous, but nothing that works. And but yeah, it was really cool. So we decided we took 6 months to plan this video, and before you were going to come back to San Diego or back to California and be here for a little while. And what was cool is I was able to carve out the time in my schedule for us to really make this happen. And really, what was cool is to work with you as a professional, and me, just this guy that just bangs around with cameras using webcams rather than using regular cameras. Because I'm just too cheap to go get a $3,000 web or whole live feed system. Like, I'm just too cheap. and I'd rather spend a nice $87 for an Anchor webcam that shoots in 4K, has good audio, it works just fine.
Hey,
so
it works.
exactly. So you come out to San Diego, and kind of tell us, what was your vision? Because I kind of showed you my dream.
Mm-hmm.
What was your vision in building this story? And when you were getting ready to come out and kind of visualizing, all right, we're going to do this, and this, and where did you really see this video turning out to be? And at the end of that, can you answer, Did the video come out the way you envisioned at the beginning?
Love that. Well, I do also want to say, you mentioned like you and I chatted for like 6 months beforehand. We chatted, I think, on Zoom, probably through a cumulative like 4 or 5 hours
Yep.
across a couple different months. And something that actually mentions in the article is, that's not super common, at least from my perspective. I think a lot of times with documentary filmmaking, like unless you're doing a feature film or something that you're working on for years and years, a lot of the short form projects, maybe you talk with your subject once, like the week before, and then you kind of show up and you learn a lot about them through the interview. Um, and so for me, this was really cool because, again, I felt like by the time I showed up and I met you in person for the first time, we already knew so much about each other and we
Mm.
already knew so much about each other's stories and what this is going to look like, and like had such a great comfort level. So I think that was like really unique and really cool. Because again, I'm sure like with like the news cameras that came, right? Like maybe you chatted with someone for a little bit, maybe you didn't even
Mhm.
chat, and you got to know them like during the process, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think I'm sure it felt different when you and I were doing things, because again, it was like this great comfort level before we had even got on set.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like that because it was one of those things where, for me, like when I did CBS 8, they came in. I already knew the guy, so I knew how he kind of worked. So I just kind of went right into his style. But like with CBS or the Good Morning American people came, it was very different. And then I had Intuit, the company, come out and do theirs, and they were completely different. Like it was like one of
Mm-hmm.
those. We did like 3 interviews, and then they came dropped in the middle of nowhere, and just had me build my story through the process. I'm like, okay. Um, I'm like, I'm glad I know my story well, and that I can make a good video for you because
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how you do this for a living, and you just drop into somebody's place and be like, now live, shoot, here we go. I'm like, okay. And so, um, and that was the cool thing is we really not just made a film, we became good friends. And it was like, I want to help you further your career, and you wanted to help me further my career. And we were looking at like, how are we going to be able to do that? How can we take this video and make this happen? So, kind of tell us what was um. So you came out here, and so you had a set vision of what you
Hmm.
wanted to accomplish. Kind of tell us a little about what you wanted to get accomplished.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think, there's a lot of different styles of documentary, and I think um, I'm super appreciative of all of them. I think for me with this one, knowing partially that we were going to use this as a tool to help you get funding for your school, I knew it needed to be short,
Mhm.
right? I knew this couldn't be some 20, 30-minute documentary, because even that's considered short.
Mhm.
Um, but attention spans and people that are going to be watching this quickly on social media or anything, unfortunately, you're not going to get people for that long. So I knew this wanted to be like a 2 to 3 minute kind of quick hits of sort of what your story is, but also what you're trying to do with that story. So I think for me, another reason that I was really just initially drawn to what you're doing is I'm also just a huge like lover of all things creative and art. I'm a
Mhm.
really big fan of just the process and the minutia behind those things. So, just previously, even before you and I had met, I had filmed a video on glass blowing, actually two videos on glass blowing. I had done um, videos for like blacksmithing. I had done videos for fabric designers and a bunch of different types of dance, and
Mhm.
um, just a lot of sort of process videos, so to speak. Painting, another one that I've done a bunch of times. And I just love these small details and sort of things that really make the artistry stand out. And I think one of the beautiful things about pottery specifically, even just watching you do this now, is it's very mesmerizing,
Yeah.
right? It's you have the motion, you have the tactileness, you have eventually later on you have color and all these things. And so I think I wanted to combine that with this incredible storytelling ability that you have. And I wanted sort of, I would say part documentary, but also kind of part like poem also in a way.
Yeah.
And this very kind of ethereal and
So
kind of relaxing video to watch.
stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to dive into how we shot the video, how the kind of came to life, and literally changed Josh's life and mine. See you on the other side. Have you ever wondered, without your vision, how you would cross the street? I am the deaf-blind potter. I've been hit by a car 3 times in my life. It's said that 87 million people in this world will have the same experience as I have. But I started working on a solution to help solve this problem of blind individuals from getting hit by a car. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a solution that allows you to see me from 100 yards away. It's called the See Me cane, the lighted blind cane. The See Me cane is simple to use. It has an on and off button, a vibration button that tells you that the light is on or off, and has magnetic charging on the top. And it feels just like a normal blind cane. I need your help to donate to the See Me cane, so that way those that are visually impaired can get a See Me cane and live beyond their challenges. Go to seemecane.com to donate today. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges. Hey, it's so good to see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. We're at the bottom of the hour, and my name is Kelvin Crosby, and I am the Deaf Blind Potter, and you're here at the Deaf Blind Potter Show on KHNC 1360 on the AM dial, and I'm so excited. Today, one of those days, I'm like, yes, it's finally here. It's finally here. We are going to make this happen. And I'm like, okay, a lot of work has come into this place, and a lot of work has been coming to get to this day, which is the launch of the Deaf Blind Potter School documentary short film. And I got the director, the cinematographer, and he did a lot of things for this show. And so we're going to go into the back end of this story, him coming into my life and how he's envisioned shooting this, and then actually starting to have the experience of shooting video with me, blind and deaf. So, Josh, take it away and tell us a little about this experience from your perspective, and then I'll get a little bit of my perspective working with you.
Yeah, that's great. So, I think for me, and everyone's approach is different, but I really wanted, when you and I were first working with each other, we had planned for, I think, 3 days of shooting, partially because of all the different steps of pottery where you need things to dry and all that stuff. But I really wanted to start with the interview. I think for me, I wanted to get the interview, kind of have an idea of what we're going to use, and then be able to film B-roll that made sense and fit with the interview, as opposed to like getting the B-roll and then just fitting it where maybe it fits, maybe it doesn't. So we started with the interview, and I remember it was a very hot day in your studio. And when, of course, we had to turn off the air conditioning for sound.
Of course.
So we have the sun beaming in, and it's me and my good friend Soeb, who so kindly came down and helped me out that first day. And we're doing this interview, and I think we had the interview going for over 2 hours. It was not a short interview for
No,
a 3-minute video.
And the thing is, I was so sweaty, and I was like, it was like almost I was like sitting in a pool of sweat, and saying, "Hey, everybody, it's so good to see you. I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I want to tell you my story." See, art, pottery isn't like art for me. It's healing, or I'm like, this is brutal.
Yeah, it was. I think that's why the interview was so long. Is I think like, you have this ability. You can get really serious and really deep, but then also you're so funny and just you and I are messing around. And so I think like it was one of those things where like our natural inclination is to joke around with each other, but then also like we also wanted to dive into some of the more serious stuff and then kind of go back into the messing around. So I think that's part of the reason it was quite a lot of ebb and flow, as they say.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and in the video itself, you can totally see how, because you and I had that ebb and flow, you could see how the interview really turned out to be the powerful message.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on in this 3-minute film, right? There's a call to say, it's going to be okay. Let's rejoice in our sorrow. And it has the whole other part. See, I didn't want to live anymore. And then it has, but I want to help people save their lives and say, I want to live too and find joy in that pain through the art, the craft of pottery, and the healing power of the clay. See, for me, it was one of those moments. We were shooting it, we were doing the interview, but there was a lot of things that I didn't quite know yet. So we recorded several different ways and different way or directions. And what we realized through that journey, like this was going to be a lot bigger deal for people with disabilities than either you or I ever thought. And so from the interview standpoint, when you went home that day from the interview, like what impacted your life in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think even because we also, it didn't end up making it in the film, but we also like interviewed both your parents, who said some like really incredible things too. And I think after so many hours of interviews in a day, I think even just to drive home, my brain was already thinking of like, wow, where is this going to go, and how's this all going to cut together? And again, I think overall it was just, and hopefully this comes across in the film, is like we don't have control over the cards we're dealt, right? All we have control over is what we're going to do with what we've been given. And so I think that was the really powerful message. And I think too, the other thing, again, which is sort of one of the main reasons behind the film, is like, I think it's one thing to want to do the best you can with the cards you've been dealt personally, but then I think it's a whole nother thing to take that and want to do something for others with it. And so I think that was the big thing that I was really drawn to, is like, again, the school and wanting to provide this healing outlet that you've discovered and try and apply that to other people that, again, without you having gone through that journey, they might not even know that that's an option. And so I think it was the second time that we filmed, when we filmed with Jackson, right?
Yep.
I think, yeah. So we have a small section in the film where Kelvin is working with a family friend, Jackson, and they're doing some pottery together. And I think it's a great sort of visual of like what the school can be. And, obviously being there, meeting Jackson and the whole family, and everyone's so incredibly kind and sweet, and just seeing how much that he enjoyed the process and the tactile nature of it, and that big smile on his face is like so infectious. And I think that that was like the real like tying moment for me, is like seeing that in person and knowing that like, wow, like we're trying to provide this to other people in the future. So I think for me, that was my big takeaways. Again, like the twofold approach of like, well, how you responded to your situation, but even more importantly is like how you want to take that energy and like help other people with it. And I think anyone that's trying to better the world these days is doing something great. And however I can help shine a light on that is what I'm here to do.
And I think I'll never forget you and I doing the whole walking part where me crossing the street and you're and just all the people that were like, what are you doing with this weird looking camera that just kind of looks like a tree on a stick and camera, and people were like, that is quite the setup there. And it's just one guy running around, this blind guy with his guide dog. And we're just running. You're like doing circles around me. You're like, so, but well, I'll continue the story on the other side. So stay tuned, because we're going to talk about more about really what the video is supposed to do and how it's going to impact people's lives as well. We're going to talk about how it's really changed my life. See you on the other side. Hey there, this is Calvin here, and I want to tell you about DeafBlindPotter.com. Well, what are you going to get there when you arrive? You're going to see me, and you're also going to have the experience of all the pottery behind me, the pottery that's in the kiln, all of those experiences where you're going to see mugs, you're going to see heart bowls, you're going to see vases, you're going to see pots, you're going to see bowls. And you can go ahead and purchase it there, and I'm going to get it to you as soon as I can, so that way you can have the experience of feeling the tactile experience of a deaf-blind potter piece. Did you know those 3 rings on every piece of mine? The first ring represents joy. The second ring represents the perseverance that you're going to have to face in your life. And third is the character that you have to build when you find joy in your pain. And the whole piece is your hope to keep moving forward. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, because that's exactly what I want you to do when you have the tactile experience, when you feel a deaf-blind potter piece. So go to deafblindpotter.com and get your deaf-blind potter pieces today. And while you're there, if you want a shirt, hat, or hoodie, you can also get Deaf-Blind Potter merch there as well. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you just in a second. Hey, so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. My name is Kelvin Crosby. You're here at KHNC 1360 on the AM dial. And where we at in the pottery piece right now? So I have made this piece into a pot. No, not the marijuana, just being clear here. No, the pot that you put plants in and you put flowers, not marijuana. Just being really clear here. I don't support that stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. But all right, anyway, so the piece is probably it's probably about a good 7 inches, and it's probably 4 inches wide. No, it's maybe about 6 inches wide. Yeah, it's about the same height, same width, and it has a hole in the bottom of it, and it's more of like a bowl kind of shape. Yeah, it's kind of like a bowl type of shape. And so that's where we're at right now. I'm going to put the 3 rings in and get the rim nice and tight, and we'll get it finished for this show. And so to keep this going, like I said before we went to the break, is that we're going to talk a little bit about what this video, this documentary about my life and the DeafBlind Potter School is supposed to do and why it was developed. And I have the director here behind it. So, Josh, go ahead and take it away. What you wanted from this video after you finished it, you're like, how can we use this video to impact people's lives? So, take it away.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to make the video, and I think it's another thing of what is going to be the life of this video after. And so I think for me, since typically I'm just a cinematographer, I will work on a project. I will work in the pre-production. I'll shoot the project. I'll oversee the coloring, and then it's not really up to me where it lives after that, right? Maybe it's going on YouTube. Maybe it's going to festivals. Who knows? But I think for this one, because I was the director, producer, all the things, I had that control to be able to decide where it's going to go. And I think you and I at one point were thinking of festivals potentially, but part of it is like because it is quite short, and what festivals would fit, and getting deadlines together and all that stuff. Um, and nowness was something that was kind of always on my radar, uh, even before this piece, but especially when making this piece, I was like, they have a lot of pretty incredible documentaries. They're all anywhere in the 2 to 15 minute range, and I could definitely see this kind of living on there. I know their process for premiering things is pretty rigorous, because they only do one premiere like every couple days. So I didn't know if it was going to make it through that process, but I think with their reach and the type of projects that they showcase, I think we both thought that that would be a good fit. And I, through a couple different channels, was able to get it in the eyes of someone, and it took a number of months to hear back, where I think both you and I were like, oh, maybe that's a polite no. I didn't hear back for a couple of months, polite no. But I kept following up, and I was like, I need to get it in writing if it's a no. Like I need to know if that's for sure.
Yep.
And luckily it was a yes. I think the exciting thing is, one, just the amount of followers they have, and the fact that a lot of the people that follow the page are really into the art and really into the crafts and the subjects of these projects. They're very loyal. And two, I think anytime you can be front and center, whether it's for a day, 3 days, whatever, I think that's very powerful and has the potential to get a lot of eyes on your project. Because I think nowadays, right, we have so much content being thrown at us all the time. It's kind of hard to stand out a little bit. So I really like that aspect of what they do too, is like, listen, until we post the next project in 2, 3, 4 days, whatever, like this is the main project that we're showcasing here. Anyone that comes to the website, this is the first thing they're seeing. So I really like that aspect of it as well. And yeah, I think ultimately, like we've talked about, like we have no idea really what all this is going to do, because once the video is out there, you don't have control over it. But I think for us, the thing that we do know is it's going to get a lot of eyes. And ultimately, what we really did create this project for was to create something that's very shareable, and something that, even if it didn't get picked up by Nowness, just something that you could send to investors or people that have spaces that might want to like donate a space for the pottery, or even, I'll put it out there and saying not if, but when you open this school, even if this is sending it to prospective students and parents and saying like, what is this school about? Well, like, boom, here's a 3-minute video on here's my story. Here's what we're trying to do with the school. Here's how it can help you or your child. And I think just the ability, again, to watch something and listen to something as opposed to just reading it.
Yeah.
Especially someone like you who's really good at telling your story, I think that just adds a whole nother dimension to it. So that's
Well, I
where
mean,
we're hoping it goes.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that was what was really cool about how we, like, kind of, for me, the video. I mean, when we shot this, like, I didn't really have a vision besides I wanted to help people with disabilities. I wanted to help and them be able to take this pottery and then make a living from it, and which is what I've been able to do. Obviously, I have more streams of income than just pottery, but this is you can make a living if you have a good story or you have somebody that can tell your story in a good way and be able to support you through the journey. I'm like, this could be it. A school that I can build a government for, train these students, and then build their brand. And then next thing you know, they're financially independent. Yeah, a lot of these students will always be on government support, but they will also have even better insurance, or they'll have a way to share their story that they never been able to do. But what was cool about this is how these students will be able to live beyond their challenges. So stay tuned. When we get on the other side, we'll talk a little bit more about the plan for the school and where you can find the video. See you on the other side. Hey there, it's Kelvin here, and I want to hear from you. Are you living beyond a challenge right now, or are you trying to live beyond a challenge? I want to be here for you. I want to walk through this journey with you. I want to encourage you to find joy in the challenge that you're facing and help you persevere by taking that step and building the character that has hope. And by doing that, it's going to change your life. So I need you to email me at contact@deafblindpotter.com and tell me about your challenge. And together, we will live beyond your challenge. I'll walk through you with your journey, and possibly you might come on my radio show or my podcast, and we will work through it, and even my fans will help you as well live beyond your challenges. But most of all, we need to work on you first before anything else, so that way you are successful in living beyond your challenges. So that is contact@deafblindpotter.com, and you can email me there, because I'm the only one that checks that email, and it's all confidential. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you in just a second. Hey, so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's Kevin Crosby, the Deafblind Potter, and we're talking about my documentary that just dropped today at 3 o'clock a.m. my time. We can launch in London time. And I got the director here. So, Josh, where can people find the video?
Yeah, so if you're listening to this live or in the next couple of days, it'll be on the front page of nowness.com. And it's also going to be on their social channels where they'll have a link to it. And then after 15 days, you can find it also on, I'm assuming, Kelvin, on all your socials and pages and everything too. But for now, if you're checking it out now, just go to nowness.com or their Instagram page, and you'll see it front and center.
Yep. And if you do just go to deafblindpotter.com, I will have a link right there, bold and bright, and saying documentary, right? Short film documentary. So it will take you right there. The other thing is deafblindpottershow.com is where you get all the recordings and all of where you want to find information about today's show, the notes, everything that you need is at deafblindpottershow.com. And that's where you get that, and you can get all the details there. And so that way, everybody clear, this is a short film documentary. This is not my full length. I have a dream that one day Josh and I will shoot the full film and raise probably about $100,000 to do that. But we'll have a dream, like, so one day. But anyways, with this film, it's really designed to build the deaf-blind potter school. Why do I want to do this? Because I've seen the power of the healing of clay in my life. And I want to share that with those with disabilities and those that are going through things in their lives that are facing challenges. So that way they themselves can experience the healing power of clay. It's one of the oldest forms of art in the world. There's nothing like it. Yeah, it's memorizing to watch, but it's healing to use and be a part of and experience and go through the stages, because it truly is the stages of life. Because you really go from being a ball of clay to becoming the shape that God created in you to help you live. And we have options. Are we going to be shaped this way, that way? There's so many ways we can be shaped. Like today, I made a pot. And well, I stopped at my jokes about the marijuana thing. But anyway, so Josh, if somebody wanted to hire you for a job, because I want to make sure I promote you too, where would they need to find you and reach out to you?
That's very kind. Yeah, I'm on Instagram, and I have a website as well. It would just be, my Instagram is just actually my Instagram and my website. It's joshherzog.com, but with one H. So JOSHER, Z as in zebra, OG. Josh Herzog.
And those links also will be at the deafblindpotterschool.com in under the Josh show or whatever. You know what I mean. You go there, have the podcast, and it will have the description. And then if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you'll have everything that's in there. So it makes it super easy. Well, that wraps up the Deaf Blind Potter Show. Go check out the documentary. And if you want to get on the email list, just follow the thread through the process at deafblindpotter.com. And when you go through that process, you can also donate to build the school. We're trying to raise $170,000 to build the school, to make this a reality. Like I always say, every time I end anything, go live beyond your challenges. I'll see you next time. That wraps up the Deaf Blind Potter Show. Thanks for joining me, and share this video and encourage somebody to live beyond their challenges, so that way we all can persevere through the struggles of life and overcome the challenges and have hope to live beyond our challenges. I'll see you next time.